All right. Hi guys. Today we are doing 10.3. We're going to continue looking at matrices, and today we're going to be multiplying matrices together. So you will need your graphing calculator to do this, so make sure you get yours out. If you don't have yours, you can download the Chrome extension to get it onto your Chromebook so that you can follow along here as well. So let's look at the steps to multiplying matrices. Before we get into like actual multiplication, there's something important we need to talk about is if we actually can multiply two matrices together or not. And to decide if we can multiply them together, we look at the dimensions of the two matrices we're working with. So it says matrix multiplication is only possible if the second number of your first matrix, meaning when we say number here, we're talking about the dimensions, is the same as the first number of your second matrix. Now that's kind of confusing, so let's look at an example. So it says here if matrix A is 2 by 5 and matrix B is 5 by 3, you can multiply them together and the new dimensions would be blank. So to figure out if you can multiply two matrices together, it's easiest just to write out the dimensions. So we're going to write out 2 by 5. And then next to that, I want to write out the other dimensions, 5 by 3. Now putting them next to each other, maybe throw a multiplication sign in between, makes it really easy. What you're looking for is if the two inside dimensions match. So those have to match in order to be able to multiply. Okay. If they match, I kind of think of it like they cancel each other out, so I actually cross them off. And the new dimensions would be whatever is left, a 2 by 3. Notice the order here. If you're multiplying A times B, you have to write them in the correct order, okay? If you flip the order of the multiplication, then you would also flip the order you wrote the dimensions. And that might change whether you can multiply them together or not. And we'll do some practice here. So I'm going to skip this second part for a moment. We'll come back to it. Let's practice just deciding whether or not we can actually multiply two matrices together just by looking at the dimensions. So it says determine if you can multiply them together. For all of these, we're assuming that we're going to do A times B for the order, okay? So because they're written vertically, that sometimes can be a little confusing. I like to just write the dimensions out next to each other. So we're multiplying A, which is a 2 by 3, times B, which is a 3 by 4. Now again, I'm looking for the inside dimensions. Do they match? Yes, they do. So I think of it like they cancel each other out, leaving me with a 2 by 4. That would be my new matrix when I multiply them together. Let's try one more together. A 3 by 2 times a 3 by 4. Okay, again, looking at the inside dimensions, do they match? No, they don't match, so I cannot multiply these together. I want you to try C and D on your own. All right, here are my final answers for C and D. So problem C, I cannot multiply them because 2 and 7 do not match. And problem D, I can multiply them because 4 and 4 match, so my new dimensions would be 6 by 6. All right, so the last topic for today is actually multiplying some matrices together. Now, there's a bunch of steps up here. I'm not going to read all these right now. We're going to just go through them together, but this is a good sheet to look back at if you don't feel like rewatching the video that lists the steps one by one, but you'll be able to see the buttons I click on my calculator over here. Okay, the last thing, like we said before, the order does matter, right? So if I flip the order I'm multiplying in based on the dimensions, you might not be able to multiply in both ways. So let's try some. So it says find the product of the two matrices using your calculator. So here's our two matrices. So if I want to put a matrix into my calculator, I need to click the matrix button. So if you look at your calculator right here, it says matrix, but that's a second option, right? Because it's in blue. So I'm going to click second and then matrix. So it's the little inverse button there. Now this first screen is giving you your options to select the matrices after you put them in. We haven't typed any in yet, so we actually need to edit. So we're going to go over to edit. We're going to edit matrix A because that's our first matrix, so click enter. Now we have to type in the dimensions here. So I'm going to go back. I have 2 rows and 2 columns for that first matrix, so I'm going to type 2, and then I can scroll over 2, so 2 by 2, and scroll over again, and now you should see the matrix so you can see it visually matching what we have on the page. Then I'm going to type in each number, so you can type 2 for that first left entry, and then click enter, 3, enter, and then it goes down, so -1, enter, and 2, enter. Make sure that the positions match what you have in your notes as well. So that's our first matrix. So once I've done that, I'm going to go back to the matrix home screen. Now there's no back button, right? So I have to click second matrix again to get back to that home screen, just like we did the first time. Now it's showing you the dimensions for the one we just entered, but we need to enter something for B. So I'm going to scroll over to edit again. And this time scroll down to B, so that's our second matrix, and click enter. This one is a 2 by 1, 2 rows, only 1 column. So 2, enter, that's already a 1, so click enter again. 3, enter, 5, enter, and now it matches the matrix I have here. Okay, so now I have both matrices entered, and what I need to do now is actually go back to the regular home screen of my calculator. So I want to quit the matrix screen, so here's your quit button. So I click second, and then the button that says mode, because it'll quit me out. Now I want to multiply those together. Again, you have to go back to the home screen first or it won't work. So now I'm here, and I'm going to go back into the matrix screen, second matrix, click enter on A. So I'm not going back to edit. I want to be on this screen with the names. So I want to select matrix A, and I'm going to multiply. So I click the regular multiplication, second matrix, scroll down, B, click enter, and now I have my product. 21 over 7. Matrix multiplication by hand is actually pretty complicated, so you might be like, I don't really get how they're getting those numbers. It's a little bit complicated, and we're not going through it this semester, so we're just using our calculator to do it. So let's look at one more example. I'll go a little bit quicker here. So I have 2 matrices. I first probably want to make sure that I actually can multiply them together. So this first matrix is a 3 by 2, 3 rows, 2 columns, times a 2 by 2. That works, and I should anticipate my answer to be a 3 by 2 matrix, right? If I cross off those middle ones because they match, that's what it should look like. So that helps me check that I'm on the right track. Go back to my calculator, go to the matrix screen. So second, and the inverse button will get you to the matrix screen. I want to edit again. We said this one's a 3 by 2. Type in the values. 1, 2, 5, 0, -4. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to the matrix home screen to edit my second matrix. So go to edit and then select B. This guy is a 2 by 2. 4, -3, 8, and -2. Now again, you have to quit. This is the most common mistake that people make when using their calculator. You have to get out of this completely. So second mode to quit. And now we're going to type in our matrices again. So second matrix, enter, times second matrix. Scroll down to B, click enter. Right, and there's my product. So I see that it is a 3 by 2. That's good, so it matches what I would expect. So I didn't accidentally type anything wrong. All right, and I'm done. Okay, so you have a couple to try on your own. You can use the list of directions at the top of the page or just rewatch some parts of the video if you get stuck. So we have two matrices here, A and B. You're going to do 3 different problems with them. Notice the order is changing between problem A and problem B. That matters. And then this last one, A squared, just like regular numbers, that means you're multiplying matrix A times itself. So you'll enter matrix A and you'll select it twice from the matrix menu. So it'd be like this. Okay, so try those and then you'll be able to look at how I did them. All right, here are my answers for those 3 problems. Now, there's not really a lot of work to show you because it's all in the calculator. So you can pause if you need to look more closely at those answers. A couple things that are like common issues, just simply accidentally typing a number wrong. So if you're not getting the same answers as me, that would be my first option. Go back and look at what you typed in for matrix A and matrix B in your calculator. Make sure you didn't accidentally press the wrong number. And then again, like I said before you do the actual operation, you need to quit and go back to the home screen of your calculator. Those 2 things usually solve most of the problems, but if you're having any other issues, just ask and we'll figure it out.